Good afternoon already. Ladies and gentlemen, I will go through the, thank you very much. I will go through during my presentation through the main elements of the call. So it means that first of all, I will start presenting some overarching principles which are behind the call, which we took into consideration when we designed the call. Secondly, I will present process itself, then I will tell a few more words on probably most important part of my presentation about the evaluation criteria. Then I will finish up with submission process, plus I will add some additional information which I think can be useful for you. So, as it was mentioned already, we are going to select, the governing board of the EIT is going to select, designate 2 new KICs to enlarge the family of the knowledge innovation communities in 2 thematic areas, food and manufacturing. There was already quite broad discussion and description when we talk about the teams. Yes, we follow non-prescriptive approach, so the teams which are described in the fact sheets, which are first of all attached to the strategic innovation agenda of the EIT, the document which was approved by the Parliament and the Council, which are also attached to the call text, are giving you the broad scope of the teams. You are the ones to come up with the proposals which is convincing, which is gonna to convince the evaluators that is gonna to bring the biggest impact. When I mention about the principles which are behind the call, there are 3 ones which we identified following quite thorough lessons learned exercise which we conducted at the EIT. We also took comments coming from applicants in 2014, from the evaluators, and we put in front of the call 3 challenges which we call assumptions to make the call 2016 even better than we had in 2014. So first of all, simplification. What we decided to do, we decided to make the process more simple, what means more effective. We are going to allocate more time for the evaluators to look at the proposals, but also we are going to give more time for the designated KICs to go through the startup phase. What we also did, taking into consideration comments which we received from the applicants, from the evaluators, we simplified wording of the criteria to make them more concise, more straightforward. Talking about the alignment with Horizon 2020, the second principle behind the call, we are the part of the Horizon 2020 starting from 2014, so we are more aligning ourselves towards Horizon 2020. I will come back to this issue during my presentation, and I will discuss some rules which we are going to follow during the evaluation process or startup phase. But 2 or 3 examples which I would like to present now. First of all, we are also present now on the participant portal. In 2014, the call was only published on our website. Our website still remains the main source of information about the call, but we are also present on the participant portal main Horizon 2020 IT entry tool. Secondly, we aligned terminology of our selection process, mainly selection criteria, evaluation criteria, to make it also more clear for majority of you who are quite active participants or Horizon 2020 funding programs, projects, or in the past framework program 7. Last but not least, excellence. It was already mentioned several times by the panelists during the previous session. Excellence is our overarching principle. The EIT is about the excellence. KICs are excellent partnerships. So governing board decided to put even more emphasis on this element, and that's why when the criteria for selecting KICs were set up, it was decided that only excellent proposals will be invited to the GB hearings. So it means only proposals which are going to get at least 70% during the experts evaluation stage. Also, to facilitate excellence, to help applicants to prepare very good quality proposals, what we did, we published criteria already in September 2015. We tried to provide the information regarding the call as early as possible to give you as much time to make the best proposals. You already saw this timeline. We started disclosing information in autumn 2015. In December, governing board approved the call package, also approved the principles for financing and monitoring. Then we published the call on 14th of January. We are going to close it on 14th of July, 5:00 p.m. Brussels time. Then we start evaluation process. And let me focus a little bit more on this stage, which is probably interesting for you. So just after closure of the call, we start the eligibility check and we start the operational capacity check. We plan to finalize this stage within 2-3 weeks. Then we start the panel of experts stage, evaluation process of the proposals by independent external experts. It's going to last 3 months. We plan to start in August, and we plan to finish this phase in October. This will be finalized by the consensus meeting, which will be organized in Budapest. Before, evaluators will assess the proposals remotely using Horizon 2020 IT tool. Then we'll enter the final stage, which is the preparation and hearing itself with the EIT governing board members. The hearing with the excellent proposals, it means those which will exceed or achieve or exceed the threshold of 70%, will be held in Budapest on 16-17 November 2016. And after that, we hope that in November, we are going to select and governing board designate 2 new partnerships. Who's going to evaluate proposals at the panel of experts stage? There will be 6 experts per panel, so we are going to have 2 panels. In each panel, 6 experts, 4 experts having deep thematic knowledge and also having clear understanding what is knowledge triangle integration. So we'll look for the experts who already have experience in working on different sides of the knowledge triangle. Those 2 experts will be accompanied by 2 additional evaluators, more transversal evaluators who are really highlighting key specificities of the EIT, of the KIC model and the EIT. One of the evaluators will be the expert on education and human capital development. The second one will be the expert on business creation and entrepreneurship. Then these panels will be accompanied by rapporteur, 1 rapporteur per panel who will support experts to prepare the consensus report, draft, and then to support finalization of the evaluation report. Let me tell you a few words about the criteria. I will start with the first phase, admissibility and exclusion criteria. We are going to have 3 admissibility criteria. As I mentioned, we are going to receive the application via Horizon 2020 submission system. So there actually it will be kind of the automatic check by the system. The proposals will be submitted before the deadline, should be submitted full proposal, so all parts should be uploaded, and only proposals which are going to be submitted by this tool will be considered as admissible. Then selection exclusion criteria. On this, we are asking all partners to submit declaration of honor on exclusion criteria and lack of conflict of interest following Article 106, 107 of the EU Financial Regulation. We ask all partners to sign these documents, to submit to the coordinator, and coordinator should collect them, merge in one document, and upload to the system. Then we will conduct at the EIT eligibility check according to eligibility criteria which are presented in front of you. They are coming from the EIT Financial Regulation, plus new eligibility criterion, maximum of 50 partners. That was already discussed, but I would like to also mention one of the justification behind the decision of the governing board was that the EIT is not only responsible for selection and designation of the KIC. We are also responsible for successful setup, because the partnership will be a KIC only after when it goes successfully through the startup phase, and director will decide on the awarding decision of the FPA. Then the partnership will be eligible for funding. So we are not only about selecting and designating, but also to be sure that the process of setting up of the new KICs will be also successful and the risk of failure will be minimized. We introduced, compared to the 2014 call, two new selection criteria, which are going to be checked by the EIT before the technical evaluation. Actually, one of them is going to be checked before the technical evaluation stage, which are financial and operational capacity criteria. Talking about the financial capacity assessment, it will be done on the basis of the financial viability check. Here we are going to follow Horizon 2020 practices and provisions. Also following the provision of rules for participation, Article 15, some type of organization will be exempt from this financial viability check. So public bodies or institutions, organizations, which viability is guaranteed by member states or associated countries. This will be done at the very end, so it means at the final evaluation stage. However, to ensure that the selection process will be done in the most effective manner, in case some data or in case some coordinators will have to go through this financial viability check, then we may contact the coordinators already during the evaluation stage in October, maybe to provide missing information, to submit them to the Horizon 2020 database. And this check will be conducted with all known tools where the link is also provided in the submission system. Then we conduct at the EIT operational capacity check following two criteria. One criterion about the partnerships coordinator familiarity with the call team and experience. We set three criteria that should be met by the coordinator to evidence that is capable to go through the startup phase and to facilitate setting up of the KIC. So we ask about the experience of managing EU programs, EU projects. We ask about the experience of managing of the program of project with a budget of minimum 3 million euro. We are talking about the budget which is or coordinated or allocated to the coordinator. And then we also ask about evidencing experience in conducting projects with partners from at least three different countries. What we ask in the call text, we ask coordinator to provide this information in a quite structured form, to attach this information to the coordinator's motivation and commitment letter. All examples of the projects, minimum 2. It means that one of the projects may meet more than one requirements which I just mentioned. All this information should be provided in the letter, and all these projects should be finished successfully not earlier than end of 2012. Then the second criterion, which also evidences our huge focus and our importance on the startup phase, which is about the quality of the interim management team. I am underlying interim because what we want to ask applicants, that coordinator will submit and propose 3 names of persons who will act at the startup phase as an interim management team of the partnership. So 3 key positions: Chief Executive Officer, Chief Financial Officer, and Chief Operational Officer. We set the following minimum criteria, so at least 7 years of the relevant experience to the position. For the CEO, at least 7 years of the experience in the thematic area. For COO, 5 years of the relevant experience. All of the members of the interim management team should have at least 3 years of the experience working in the international environment. We ask coordinators to attach those CVs to the motivation and commitment letter and attach also to the system. What is important, sorry, that only proposals which gonna meet this criteria successfully will be passed to the next stage of the evaluation, will be passed to the technical evaluation stage. So we are going to have 3 main criteria, which are strategy, operation, and impact. Applicants may get up to 100% for all these criteria. The points are divided 30 for strategy, 30 for operation, and 40 for impact. Impact is overarching principle of the call, not only the call, also the EIT. So let me go very quickly through the sub-criteria to highlight what is the meaning behind those names. First of all, strategic approach. What we ask and what the evaluators will check is the strategic approach of the proposed strategic approach, what means mission, vision, strategic objectives are feasible, specific enough, measurable, relevant, time-dependent. That strategic approach is going to have multidisciplinary approach, that the KIC model is applicable to the proposed strategic approach. So there are these 3 quite important elements that will be assessed by the evaluators. Then the second sub-criterion, which is about added value, innovativeness, and synergies. The applicants should demonstrate, and evaluators will evaluate the uniqueness, novelty of the strategy, its added value, but on the other hand, its readiness to establish the synergies with the existing EU initiatives, but also private initiatives on non-governmental initiatives. It could be good if the applicants could provide some examples of the synergy or of the synergies on which they can be ready to build on. Then the last sub-criterion under this pillar, KIC partnership innovation quality, which in short could be summarized that applicants should demonstrate that the partnership is more than just a sum of the partners. So the partnership should be diverse, going beyond the recognized stakeholders, also bringing people, institutions from different disciplines, what evidences this multidisciplinary approach, should be world-class, should be balanced. As it was mentioned, the partnership is also open partnership, so it may grow in the future. So it's advisable also to provide the expansion plan and to provide the information how the specific entry and exit rules can be presented and can be implemented to ensure full transparency of this process. Then let me pass to the next main criterion, which is operation. Also 3 sub-criteria. Sub-criterion 2.1, key governance and leadership. and again, 3 elements which are quite crucial. First of all, applicants should present justified suitability of the proposed legal entity to the proposed strategy. What is important, we are not going to require, and we don't require, that applicants should already have established legal entities, but what we would like to have is to have a clear justification evidencing that there was a thorough thinking about the way and model of how the legal entity going to be organized. Secondly, governance should follow good governance principles, also discussed during the plenary session. For example, representatives of the KIC partners, high-level representatives should be engaged in the governance, should be clear separation between control and implementation. The management should be at a proper size to ensure proper decision-making process. And last but not least, under this sub-criterion, the evaluators will assess profiles of the proposed profiles of the leaders. So we are not asking at this stage about the names of potential CEOs, CFOs, COOs, because the selection process should follow very transparent procedure. But what we ask is, what is the consortia's opinion about the key qualities, competences, experience that the key persons should possess in order to run the KIC to deliver strategy. The second sub-criterion is about the operations. So under this sub-criterion, applicants should present the KIC's operational model outlining its effectiveness, including connectivity between and among the collocation centers. As it was mentioned, we set the limitation up to 5 collocation centers. It's not within the eligibility criteria, but this requirement will be assessed by the evaluators at this stage. Also, quite clearly, it was stated following feedback which we got from the applicants. We very much clarified what do we mean by the collocation center. So we are talking about the specific location and specific regional coverage, which should be justified by the applicants. Also, under this criterion, applicants should present innovativeness and relevance of its key identified thematic areas and demonstrate how the activities are going to be integrated in the knowledge triangle driven entrepreneurship-driven knowledge triangle. Then, last but not least, the criterion about the KIC business model and financial plan. Under this sub-criterion, the experts will assess what is the applicant's financial plan, whether it will have enough sources not to depend solely on the KIC funding, and also how the applicants are tackling issue of financial sustainability. This is the point of the key importance for the EIT. So already since the very beginning, since the start, this element should be included. Last but not least, also IPR policy, which should be aligned with the strategic approach, will be assessed by the evaluators. And then we are approaching the last pillar, impact. For this criterion, applicants may get up to 40 points, and under criterion 3.1, applicants should describe and expect the expected concrete and measurable outcomes they plan to achieve, also indicated expected impact on human capital, job creation, and economic growth. It's important that that should be consistent and coherent with the strategic approach. It should be consistent with the EIT objectives and Horizon 2020 objectives. Also, the applicant should demonstrate how they are going to measure this impact. Then the point on communication, outreach, and dissemination. As it was mentioned, outreach is a communication outreach are intrinsic part of the KIC strategy or the KIC model. Outreach is about enhancing and strengthening the impact which is delivered by the KICs. So what is expected that applicants should present key goals and assumptions of the KICs communication strategy, dissemination and outreach plans, including plans to implement the EIT regional innovation scheme. Proposals which will get at least 70 points will be invited to the hearings, which will be held in Budapest on 16-17 of November with the governing board members. And the governing board members will assess the proposals against three criteria: strategy, operation, and impact. And they will focus very much on aspect regarding strategy, adaptability and suitability of the KIC model for the proposed strategic approach. Regarding operation, feasibility of the proposed KIC operational model and its financial sustainability. Regarding impact, consistency of the applicant's KIC model and its potential to achieve a significant, sustainable, systemic means going beyond the KIC impact, in line with the EIT's objectives. Let me tell you a few words about the proposal structure. So there are three parts. Part A, administrative part. This part is mainly in the SEP system. So all interested parties have to register there, provide the information, administrative data. But also, when I mention about the exclusion criteria, we'll ask to provide one file by the coordinator consisting of all declaration on exclusion criteria, declaration coming from all the partners. Then part B is the merit part, so proposal template and estimated KIC financial resources templates. Then part C, motivation and commitment declaration. This is quite important. This element we introduced in 2014. It was extremely useful. Each participant should, within 2 pages, present its motivation to join the KIC, value added it's going to bring to the KIC, information on commitment, and information about the linked third parties which may be involved in the implementation of the KIC. All the documents are attached to the call text. They are also available on our webpage. They are also available in the SEP system. These are the list of the documents which are attached to the call. So templates for submitting a proposal, then SIA thematic fact sheets, model framework partnership agreement. This is the partnership. This is the legal document which regulates the relation between the EIT and the KIC legal entity over the span of 7 years. Then model specific grant agreement. This legal document is about the annual funding. It's about granting annual funding to the KIC. Model startup agreement. This is the document which will be used in case the designated partnerships will be interested to support the startup phase process. And then evaluation template, which will be used by experts to evaluate proposals at the panel of experts evaluation stage. How to submit the proposal? As I mentioned, we are using Horizon 2020 electronic proposal submission system. The system will be closed automatically on 14 July at 5 o'clock Brussels time. So those who will not be able to submit before simply will not have chance to do it after that. All 3 parts should be uploaded. Documents, this is again Horizon 2020 practice, should be done in PDF format, Adobe version 5 or higher. The main body of the proposal, the instruction is clearly specified in the template, but shouldn't exceed 50 pages. All other pages will be disregarded by the evaluators. The proposal template mirrors the technical evaluation criteria, so one part about the strategy, one part about the operations, and one part about impact. Any other documents sent by post electronically will be disregarded. Number of the consortium partners, as I said, 50, what means 49 plus coordinator, in total 50. What happens if you are designated? Then you may have chance to get to receive startup grant based on the startup plan, which will be evaluated according to its relevance, efficiency, and effectiveness. And then you will have to fulfill and to meet certain requirements and deliver some results which are grouped within 3 areas. Legal readiness, so you have to set up the KIC legal entity, you have to sign up the FPA, Framework Partnership Agreement, you have to prepare the documents and which will form and will put legal framework into the way how the consortium is going to work. Then operational readiness, the most important elements are selecting of the management team and preparation of the business plan for 2018 to get funding starting from 1st of January. And then fostering the EIT brand identity, which is very much about the development of the communication strategy already at the stage of the startup phase. The modalities will be communicated to the designated to the designated partnerships just after the designation. If you have any questions, how to contact the call, please use our webpage. There is the sub-page where you can put your questions. We are answering the questions. We are putting them on the website to ensure full transparency. Also, the question we are going to collect today, we are going to put on our webpage. We are going to record today's meeting to ensure that all participants and all interested stakeholders, even who are not participating today, will have an access to these informations. All questions together with answer will be published of the website by 15th of June, and all questions, all parties who are interested in asking questions are invited to do it by end of May. Thank you very much.